Why is it not going? Why did it freeze? Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, come on, really in the last minute? Hold on. Oh, there we go.
All right, crisis avoided.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about why you can trust us when we talk to you about these things today, why we're qualified.
We're not changelings, by the way. Yes. Yes, we're not.
Right.
Exactly what a changeling would say.
We're not changelings. I don't worship chrysalis at all. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Okay. So who am I? My name's Brian Ciro. I go by the name Thoth on most corners of the internet. I don't know if any of you know me. Probably not yet. I've been role-playing for about 3 years in the fandom, about 4 or 5 not regarding the pony fandom. I'm a moderator of a Friendship is Magic role-playing site called The Fun Has Been Doubled. Awesome site. I'm going to provide a link to it later. Great
Very
community.
colorful.
Absolutely. Everything needs colors. And on there, I work as a moderator. I was part of the integral staff for it. I approved character applications. I really cracked down, and I had to analyze characters that these people applied for. It wasn't even like just canon characters. It was OCs. I had to make sure that they were abiding by everything. You know, you want to make sure that when you accept characters, that they're good characters. You know.
No red and black.
Right? Yeah, we're
So
talking
many
about
alicorns.
that. We'll get
So
to
many.
that. Trust us. I tend to RP on Skype. I do a lot of different formats, but Skype is where I'm most active. I'm still on the forum, so if you ever want to talk to me, we'll just start there.
Guess it's my turn. I go by Civ or Storyheart. You will not know my real name unless you ask. But I've been it's Christine, but
Thou shalt not be named.
everyone gets it wrong. They called me Catherine this year. That's what they think my name is at Eventbrite. Yay. But anyway, I've been role-playing for 7+ years, so that's a long time. I'm a very amateur writer, but maybe not, I don't know. Moderately okay artist. We have another artist here. His name's Jake. Everyone stare at him. Stare at him.
Right there, that front row.
Yeah.
Say hello, Jake.
Hello, Jake.
He's amazing.
What time is it?
Woo. And I'm a professional brony. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Woo!
Hashtag Christmas.
I got stable tech over here, so I'm responsible for your demise. But when it comes to role playing, I stick to forums and all that stuff. You know, go on, mingle, all that lovely little chit chat.
The larger the community, there's a lot more interaction. You know?
Yeah. And today I'll be taking care of the OC side of things. He's canon, I'm OC. So I also go over the beginnings of RPing for new beginners. So look forward to that. Yeah, oh, and I love Maud and Spike, by the way. Nice mustache there.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about, obviously, with a panel like to RP or not to RP, is what is role-playing to start off. And what it essentially is we're talking about portraying characters. We're talking about whether it's canon or whether it's OC characters. You're talking about acting them out, and she hates when I use that word, but it's acting it out. You're performing big, grand, it can be grand stories, it could be little tiny things, you know, it could be 2 ponies talking to each other in the middle of Ponyville, you know. It can involve anybody from the show, any characters, any environments, and it opens up creativity in the mind in that it's very spontaneous, you know. You learn to respond and really roll with the punches when you get down to it. It's very, it takes a lot to do it, but when you master it, it really makes for very dynamic and unique roleplay. Every roleplay is different. Trust me, I roleplay almost every night. This is my only break from it. And what am I doing? I'm talking about roleplaying. So, yeah.
Yeah, role-playing is also, if you're a writer here, it's a great format to go and test out characters, to go and form them somewhere else. Maybe you have a character that you want to portray as shy, but through portraying them, you realize, oh, they're not shy, they're hyper. That's what they are now. And it's a great way to get out all the bugs that are in them, just through that testing before you shove in that story, put it on fan fiction, and have the world see it.
It's crazy to think it, but even you might not understand your character until you really play them and figure out what you want them to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, let them talk to you, but I'm not hearing voices, so no one worry. No, we're not. They're not here. I promise.
So where can you role play? I'm sure many of you who are veteran role players or have a single basis of an idea of where to role play. You have places like, I've seen people do email groups, they do email chats, like, does anybody still use AIM? Any of that? I can't believe I'm asking that, but there you go, there's my man.
Welcome, AIM.
There's, oh,
Second
right,
Life,
yeah,
yes.
you're correct, yeah, Second Life, that's a big one.
They have some really good,
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Good old-fashioned tabletop.
tabletop.
Exactly, yep. There's also, there's also live action role playing. We're not going to cover that much, but that's a big part of role playing in the fandom. Absolutely,
They were
doing that.
sectioned here, so.
Oh, weekend, that's awesome. Skype, as I talked about, was a big format for role playing. Forums dedicated to role playing, as I talked about before. Our logo for the forum is down there. You also have social networking sites like Facebook, though they've been kind of cutting down on it, but it's still an active thing. And I actually consider Tumblr Ask blogs to really hook into role playing. I think that it really helps you, even if it's like a really weird niche that you're doing for the character, like a variation, you're still playing that character and figuring out how to play their role. And I think that's a very interesting way to look at it, and that's role playing in some sense.
Like Pirate Dash or
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Adorable. I love that stuff. Like,
Moonstack?
yeah.
Yeah,
Moon
right.
stuff. Oh.
I love Moonstuck.
Oh, I love that stuff. So. Woo. And Twitter. We can't forget Twitter.
No, Twitter's a big
Twitter
one too.
and DeviantArt, and for Affinity also you can do some.
There's a lot of places you can role
Pretty
play.
much anywhere. It's like anywhere.
You're not going to run out of places.
No.
So, what's the impact of role playing? That's something that's a big thing about role playing. It allows you to express your creativity in that, as I talked about before, you can live out some really big ideas with it. You're not even held to just big adventure stories. You can do something as simple as a slice of life sort of role play. You can stay to one. But then sometimes I'll get a role play where someone posted 7 or 8 paragraphs, and that was their starter, and it was fully detailed, it was massive, and it was to start a slice of life role play, and I was like,
Absolutely amazing.
I was like, wow.
Awe-inspired.
And I've been hammering this home, and I really think this is that it expresses creativity in a way that it's more of a stage kind of mentality than a literature mentality. You're acting out something and you're interpreting it. Like that essentially. It's acting it out. She doesn't like when I say that, but it's acting it out.
It's
And
online form of stage, so theater and stuff almost.
yeah, essentially, yeah.
If I want to get all fancy with the wording now.
And for the last point, having been with fan fiction for a while, and I moved over to role playing as I went along. I tend to think that creativity can be expressed through role playing in a way that fan fiction or art can't really capture as much, because it's something very spontaneous. It's creativity that just comes like that, and it's not as if you can go back and change it, because fan fiction, you go back and edit it a lot. Trust me, I've gone back and edited stories 10, 15 times. I mean, that wasn't the final draft, but it's just very spontaneous, and you just roll with it. And people roll, it's rolling with the punches, and it makes a really interesting story when you get down to it.
Yay. Sorry.
Say whatever you want to the mic, not anything.
Yay.
So the ideas of role play is what we want to go over now, and that's, you never want to take the safe way out. You always want to do something big, and it's not just big, and when I say big, it's not about, they go to some far-off country on the other side of the planet. It could be as simple as just something happens to one of the characters, and
To places no one else will go. Ooh.
well, she does fall Equestria, so she would know.
Yes. Woo. Yay.
Hey, there you go.
Keep going, yay.
And that's the thing about role-playing, is that you set your own conditions. So that's another thing about creativity with it, is that you make it. It's what you decide you want to do with it. You can make it that there's situations that happen beforehand that are just described in the starter. Starters are made for that. You can set your conditions and your terms of your role-play just by doing that. One sentence can change a whole role-play entirely. And understand the character you're playing. That's a huge thing. Whether it's, even if it's just an OC, which she'll cover, but with me, I cover canon characters. It's an art, like I said. You really, when you get into it, it becomes a lot of fun. But you gotta understand what you're doing before anything else, you know. Now, what the ingredients are for a perfect RP post. Details are always a must, always. And I'm not saying that you need, like I said before, you don't need to make it, you know, Pulitzer Prize winning starter. It doesn't need to be 8 paragraphs. It can be 1 paragraph.
I actually don't even think it needs to be a paragraph.
Not even.
And this is the one part where I gotta deviate a bit. I actually don't always think details are a must. They're definitely, if you're doing a high advanced roleplay, they are. But if you're doing something simple between friends and stuff, which is something for fun, you don't have to go into detail. Like, we don't have to go, the rock is black, it is hard, it is covered in speckles, yada yada yada. Just because I'm a rock, thank you. But, not a changeling. But, pretty much, yeah. You can go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's the thing about role-playing, is that everybody does it differently. And that's a huge thing, is that like I said, every role-play is unique. You never have the same role-play. Somebody could say something completely different and change the course of it entirely. You always want to keep the characters in the scenario in mind. You want to think about what character you're playing and how they react to the situation, which I'll talk about later because I'm covering canon characters. But you always want to keep in mind who's in the situation and how the scenario is going to work, how you want to plan out. There's not a whole lot of planning you need to do with roleplay because it's so spontaneous that you could lose it. You just do something completely different. But it helps to have a little bit of planning. Maybe just a few posts ahead at most. You don't want to do whole 20 posts ahead because you never know what's going to happen.
But you can be spontaneous, you know, like Pinkie Pie.
Exactly. Never be afraid to be creative because it's so big that role playing allows you to be creative and it allows you to do everything that you want. You can't do every single thing. There's some things that you kind of can't touch, but most of it is totally open to you. There's no glass rules.
Yeah, if you want to be a tree, you can be a tree. That's amazing. Woo!
You can also be a chicken.
Don't enter half the room, please.
So, character counts. This is where I come in with canon characters. You always want to keep the character you're playing in mind and the scenario they're in. You know, it's good to keep a lot of clips and images and all sorts of different segments of the show around. That's what I do. I don't know if a lot of people do that, but I do it. And I almost kind of picture if I'm responding as a canon character, I want to keep in mind, you know, how would this character react to this? Like, how would Rarity react to this? And when you always keep that in mind, you tend to understand the character some more, and you tend to really articulate and really keep it an accurate portrayal. It doesn't have to always be accurate, but if you keep it close, it prolongs the enjoyment of the roleplay in general. It really makes it a lot of fun. And that's what the next bullet point's about. That's all about keeping their quirks, keeping in mind what they do, what they like, what they don't like. If it helps, picture in mind if you're doing a role play post. Picture in mind them saying the line you're about to type. I never enter my line immediately. I always picture it in my head, and I picture, would this character say this? Like, you never want them to sound out of character because then people will complain. You'll have a whole issue. So what it is you just want to just keep your character in mind. Character counts. That's what it's all about.
Nice.
And here.
It's Nyx.
It is Nyx. We'll talk about her later. And here we have a quote by Ernest Hemingway, which I think really articulates role playing and how to keep characters in mind. And that is, a writer should create living people, not characters. A character is a caricature. And what that has to do with is that I've seen many people where they'll exaggerate qualities of their character they're playing. This applies to like canon characters, like, you know, the main 6, Spike, if you want to count the main 7. I'm not gonna
Spike, I like him. You know, best
like
assistant,
Spike. I like
number
Spike
1.
too.
Number 1 assistant.
But you always want to keep it in mind, keep your character reeled back. You don't want to exaggerate qualities that more or less are not prolonged in the face of them. Because I'm going to talk about right here. Here's some common things that I see.
Rarely, darling. Ooh.
That's okay.
Don't ask me to do impressions.
Here's an exaggeration for you. I'm not going to do this voice, but darling, 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 darling. You know, people constantly will start off sentences with this. They'll abuse the accent, and that's something that many people like to do. But when you really crack down and you look at her character, she's constantly changing in the show. She craves for attention and spotlight, but not in like a nasty sort of way. You got to keep that in mind, because I've seen role plays that do that. I've seen a lot of ways that you can exaggerate these characters and misportray them more or less. I find that she's harder for beginners to role play as, because the way that she constantly changes in the show, she's a very dynamic character, more or less. It makes it hard to pinpoint one way that you want to play her. So for someone who's like just starting out, you don't want to go straight for someone who's very hard to keep track of and portray. That's the way I see it. You know, it's tough in general, it's tough to play canon characters, but I see her as the hardest to play. Pinkie Pie, best pony.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Can you believe we're here today? BronyCon, I can't believe we're here. Oh my gosh.
So she basically articulated that right there. That's all. I've seen all caps with Pinkie, most of all with exaggerations. All caps. I've seen whole paragraphs typed out in all caps for that. Her emotions work in radicals. She can be very happy or very upset. It'll depend on the situation. It'll depend on what's going on. And that's a way that makes her a very dynamic character in the same way that Rarity is. So in that way, a lot of beginners, like I started out with Pinkie Pie, and I really got down to having to watch episodes with her very often and get her character down. And what I ended up finding is that a lot of things about her changed just in mid-sentence. You know, you watch the show, right? Why do you think you're here? So she's very fun-loving, but she can be very serious at the same time. It always depends on the situation. So that's what makes her very dynamic in that sense as well. So you want to always keep that in mind if you're going to play someone like Rarity or Pinkie Pie, in that they're very dynamic, very hard characters to track down to one point.
Sparkle.
So exaggeration is, I've seen it many times, is where she just talks about books for the whole role play. The whole role play, I've seen it happen. And what it really is that she's a lot more than that. It's more than just, as you know from the show, you know, she's committed to knowledge and learning. You know, she wants to keep learning. She lived in a library. Rest in peace. She's kind but frank. She isn't afraid to tell people how she's feeling, and that's totally true. A big problem that I see with people who portray her is that, you know, they portray her as being shy, like away from people, not wanting to be with ponies. But that's really not the case. It's more so that she's antisocial, and even then, that's the first episode, more or less. She lives in a library, but she gets out often. You know, how do you think she saves equestrian? And the big thing is she's fun. She's easy to play as a beginner. She's very being the most developed character on the show. That makes her very simple to articulate. You get to know her more than the other ponies, more or less. And the last part, which I think you'll find very pleasing idea is that you can be either a unicorn or an alicorn if you're using Twilight. It goes back to the whole creativity thing. You can set this up any way you want to. So if you're not fond of Twilight growing some wings,
You know, just press B.
exactly, right? Rainbow Dash, there we go.
Dude.
Yeah, here's the exaggerations for her, is that, believe it or not, I see a lot of surfer talk with her. And what I mean by that is we're talking like dude, bro, etc. Exactly, someone just said gnarly, exactly.
Tactical power.
Let's get a corn dog. But in general, people tend to misinterpret it. It's more about how they talk, and people have that trouble sometimes. She's very energetic, obviously, not as energetic as Pinkie Pie.
Not always. Sometimes she can be a bit lazy.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
But when you said that she puts her mind to something, watch out. She's constantly moving, literally and metaphorically, and developing mid-RP. She's always in the midst of things, more or less. She's a very action-based pony. And as I say right there, she's very suited for your big adventure role plays. She's very, very well suited for that. And just like Twilight, she's very streamlined. She's a very easy character. She's not extremely dynamic. You can pinpoint your character and you can play her easy. That was supposed to be a surprise, but you know what? Here's Fluttershy right here. If you can read that up there, I'm sure you can't.
She didn't want to be a part of this. She's like,
No, I don't, I'm like, do I have to come?
yep.
Exactly. If she just talked, that's not natural.
You don't put in every sentence.
Exactly. Fluttershy may seem that way in the show. Shy is right in her name, but the fact of the matter is that she can talk.
Okay.
Believe it or not, she can talk. She doesn't have to stop and ellipses every other word. That's not how a character works. She can talk.
It looks like Morse code in here.
Yeah, right. SOS. She holds her
Save
back.
our ship.
Yeah. As you can tell from episodes like Keep Calm and Flutter On, she holds her values very dear to her. She holds discord to the friend ideal. She really holds them to it, and it shows that she holds people very close in their values as a friend. She's a lot deeper than just being shy. She's not afraid of ponies. It's not as if if you have any sort of other pony that isn't part of the main cast talk to her and she'll be cowering in fear, because it's been established she's lived in Ponyville for quite a long time, so that's not an accurate portrayal, more or less. And she's kind-hearted and delicate, but easily changes no matter with the circumstances. As you can see from many episodes in the series, that she can change like that. Don't hurt her friends.
She turned into a bee in one episode.
She was a bee. She wants to be a tree, too.
Oh, yes. I did the tree joke.
It's scary that rhymes. So now we're on to Applejack. Howdy, y'all! Hey, how many
Howdy, y'all.
ponies does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Anyone? Aww.
Because they're so darn stupid.
Hey.
No, I like Applejack. Everybody should love Applejack.
Applejack is awesome.
It is. Yeah. There you go. I didn't know we were running an Applejack rally here. She's honest. Duh. She's very based in family and traditions, and as in Winter Wrap-Up, when she holds Twilight to not using magic, that's a big tradition with Winter Wrap-Up, and she clearly takes that with pride that you follow tradition. And she has a big family to look after, that she works with traditions, more or less.
She can be a little overprotective, though. We've all learned that.
She can overwork herself.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to go to the zoo? Who's stopping you?
Okay.
I'm terrible at this. This is why I'm a guy and I can't do pony voices. She's very committed to her work, as you can tell in Applebucket season, you know. And she's hardworking, obviously, again. So, continuing onward.
Yay, it's
This is
my
her part
turn.
now.
Woo. role-playing your original characters. That's my field. I actually have only portrayed canon characters a few times, but when it comes to role-playing and my own OCs, I have done that many, many times. Yes, I'm that self-absorbed. And today, we're learning about building an original character for role-playing, how to role-play that original character, role-playing to newcomers, universal rules for role-playing, you can read it, navigating our RP forum, and role-play wrap-up. Yay! And there's Twilight in a book.
Facebook.
Woo! Facebook! The Facebook.
Let's keep
The, like, yes. And then your roleplay, OC, and you. Now, when you have a roleplay OC, I learned a lot of times that if you have a very complicated character, or you go into the roleplay with a character that's already set and developed, a lot of times you can miss out on the chance to actually grow that character more. You can back yourself into a corner. So starting out simple, and I don't mean so simple that you have like, just a base, though you can, you can go in with a character that you have no characteristics, you have no personality for yet. That's fine if you want to figure them out that way. But you don't want to go in where, they have a whole background, and they have a whole, things that other people in the roleplay won't get. You also want to leave room for growth and development. That's how you learn about your own OC and your own character in that roleplay. It's actually amazing what you can find out about not just your OCs, but about yourself. You learn what you like to roleplay as. I like roleplaying the stuck-up kind of, fancy rarity kind of. I like roleplaying rarity. Rarity and the.
Are you saying Rarity stuck up?
I'm not saying she's stuck up. No, don't bring that out. Don't make them turn on me. No.
Everyone, Torben Agri Bob. I have pitchforks and torches in the car.
Bad Discord.
Ready for the hug? I will light her out.
Oh boy. Hey, I got K. Listen.
Now on the templates. Know Your Form has a official OC template. Now I'll go into what is a template, you ask? Maybe some of you didn't, but woo. A template is pretty much, most role plays, definitely you're doing original OC, will have a template. And that's pretty much the basics, information you need to know about that character. And not all role plays have to do this, but a lot do. And it pretty much is giving the people you're role playing with an idea of who your character is. And you have your name, your race, your gender, all that stuff. And this is a really simple one, but they can get really complicated. I have people who have put quotes and they make colors and they go into family, and it's you can go down to the detail if you want. But again, do leave room for growth and so you can develop your character and stuff. And here's a little self-plugging of my own OC. We have my OC filled out with a template. Woo! Woo! Full of Equestria rocks. I'm sorry, I'm into that.
At least she's not red and black.
Nah, she's just a 30-year-old unicorn / crystal mare. Don't ask. Some people. But yeah, she's a cool little pony here and stuff, and I filled it out. This one's pretty simple with the fill out. I normally go really detailed in the personality and description, but I don't have a picture, that is. And in your templates, you don't have to add a picture. Some people do, some people don't. Some people, not all of us can draw, but that doesn't mean you can't draw. But even if you can't draw anyway. That's how you get better. So do that. And the same with the role playing. But that's just an example of how you can fill out one of these templates. And again, Fallout Equestria, I'm just going to keep plugging that. Beware the Mary Sue. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Nix. But for those in the fandom, some of you do know that Nix does get called a Mary Sue. And it's
Original.
she was so early on though, so she gets away with it. Look how cute she is. Just
She doesn't look cute in that picture.
no.
I'm pretty scared right now.
That's what nightmares are made out of. This is what I see in my dreams.
She is nightmare.
Yes. Now, going into Nix and all that, does a roleplay forum ban certain races? Some roleplays will not allow you the alicorns, dragons, crystal ponies, stuff like that. And you need to know that, because the last thing you want to go in is have a dragon character and realize, sorry, we don't do that here. And, you get kicked out and stuff, and it can be bad. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. There are some role plays that alicorns, dragons, griffins, changelings, breezies, minotaurs, centaurs, all those, manticorns. Ooh, everyone. Trees. You can be a tree.
Be Tom, be the rock.
Yes.
That'd be an awesome role play. I challenge any of you in here to do a Tom role play.
Bloomberg versus Tom. And Boulder. Yeah. Yes.
Money Pan's best option.
Yes. Bloomberg. And yeah. I'm gonna say stay away from overused traits and tropes. Now that doesn't mean your character can have overused traits and tropes. But what I'm talking about is if you see a character on a forum that if there's 20 characters that are all, let's say, blue bloods, don't do a blue blood. Don't do a blue blood type character. Also, you don't want your character to be the ultimate hero of the universe, Superman type thing. Gary Stu, thank you. You don't want to be a Gary Stu, you don't want to keep saving everybody every day.
That sounds like Superman.
It's Superman, I'm so sorry, I love Superman. But in the early on comics, he was kind of the Gary Stu, the original.
For the record, we love Superman.
And some cliches can work when used correctly. Like I tend to do a lot of stuck-up, self-absorbed characters, stuff like that. And those are some cliches in there. And I like to think I can work them out sometimes. Not always. I have fallen on my face. Ask for help on character design if you get stuck. That's one thing I love about this fandom. You can ask for help. There are places on forums where you can go and help sections or character help sections or places like that. Out of character sections, which you have OC or NC in character or out of character. Go to out of character sections and you can ask people about, what should I do for a character? Or is this character looking okay? Or is this character trait okay? And people will give you criticism on that. And hopefully nice criticism, hopefully. But that can really help you. People want to be helpful. That's what I believe in. People want to be helpful to each other. But remember, in the end, they are your creation. They are your baby. They are whatever you are. They're your child. Take them home, love them, or hate them. Even if you don't. Yes, thank you. Oh, that's not mine. But
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but they're your creation. So in the end, you're responsible for them, and they can be anything you want to be. So, and even if let's say a forum doesn't allow a certain thing, you know what? Go find another forum sometimes. Believe. And then first time role playing. Oh, that's for your newcomers here. And I said that most forums have a help or newcomer section. They also have an introduction section. But if you're doing a Skype role play or a Tumblr role play, don't be afraid to ask for help on those either. If you have a moderator, which tend to be the people who are in charge of the role play a lot of the time, you as a moderator of a forum. But sometimes you're doing small time role play, you have one person who acts as the moderator or the rule person. You can find that in Dungeons and Dragons as well, tabletop games. But ask them for help, or ask your other role play friends and stuff. They're gonna want to help you, hopefully. And let's see, read all the rules. Oh, this is so important. Read all the rules of that forum and make sure you understand the setting and rating. Don't go into a PG formatted role play or forum and try to do R stuff. No.
I can really attest to this as a moderator. We've had some really weird stuff.
It's scary sometimes. I do follow Equestria, and I tend not to go above PG-13, but, we get some people who try to come in and do G stuff and not understanding what they're doing, and it gets awkward, and, it's like, should you be here? It's awkward on both ends, actually. So, make sure you know the rules and the settings. Always know the rules.
Do what you want, but within the own little community.
Yeah.
Don't do everything.
I'll go over some other big-time universal rules for role-playing a little bit. And if you're having trouble how to role-play and stuff, go read other role-plays. A lot of role-plays tend to be open on forums that you can go and you can read through them. You actually sometimes become a fan of certain role-players. and go see what are in progress already. Read what's going on in that format. And it can really help you get started on your own. And, just understand, oh, maybe I shouldn't go so simple on this forum, or maybe I should go on this forum. It's a great way to figure out what you're going to do.
Reading an RP post can change everything about the way you RP in general.
Yeah. It can also just help you in writing, too. Also, read finished character bios. That has become helpful. Get an idea what other people are doing with their characters. Read those characters, see those characters. It's just, you don't want to be careful to create a character that already exists. You might not want 2 punchlines running around, or 2 ziggity zackety, I don't know, some name running around. That can get confusing. It's like, are you ziggity zack? I don't know, I came up with that name out of nowhere. Don't ask me.
Okay.
Yes. I've been judged. Oh. Yes. This is very important. You need to be able to separate yourself from, when you're on a role play, you need to be able to separate your character from yourself. So if you have if you're in a forum, and let's say in that forum your character is, one character says something mean to your character. Don't take that off the forum. Don't go be mean to that character's player. That's not nice. That's the character talking. That's not the player. Or at least most of the time it isn't. Sometimes you will get people who do that, who they will take offense to you attacking their character or saying harsh things to their character, and will go into attack you. So don't be the person who does that. That is not a good thing. Leave your problems at the door. Leave your problems at the keyboard. Don't go any further. Do ask for critique. Again, so many people are helpful. Just go ask stuff. They're gonna help you. And do consider the advice you're given. Some of it's bad, some of it's good. You gotta sort it out yourself. And remember, practice makes perfect. You probably heard this at other panels, but it's a trope. But yeah, practice does make perfect. Perfect.
It's 10 a.m. here. It's okay.
I'm half asleep.
Are all of you half asleep out there?
Look at this adorableness. it's that apple job is just. Oh.
It's making you babble.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna pass out over here. And then this is something I really want to go over. Bowing out. Let's say you're in an RP and you find out I don't have time for this, or this isn't the RP I thought it was, and now you have to bow out or leave or whatever you want to call it. You have to. I would say tell the other players. I mean, don't just disappear. That can seem rude and that can confuse people. Definitely if you're in a very personal RP, that can throw people off. If you did a lot of planning and stuff. If it's a spontaneous RP, sometimes you can kind of just slowly slip away. But if it's a more personal thing, you gotta tell the people. That way they can make changes and stuff. And if your character was important in that RP, that gives them a warning of what's gonna happen. I had to do this actually earlier this year where I had to bow out of an RP, and I will admit I didn't bow out correctly. I kind of just disappeared, and they went and kind of hunted me down, and I want to apologize if they're here for that. Shame me all. I'm so horrible person. Oh, I made that mistake, and I've learned my lesson. Shame on me. I've learned my lesson. And do ask yourself before you do the RP, do I have the time? Can I commit to this? Think about that. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes to ask yourself before you join something. Can I do this? No. No. Nope. Wait, that's how it goes. Nope.
Hey.
Yeah, because life does get in the way. People will understand.
Despite me role playing every single day, sometimes if I'm sick, I just can't.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sick, work, family, pets.
When the head's cloudy and I'm disgusting,
Yeah.
I can't play multicolored ponies. I'm sorry.
Yeah, try to bring your best, but you don't always have to bring your best, but try. God plus mod equals bad. Now, don't know how many of you out there know what God modding is. It's pretty much when you make the all-powerful character. It's the character that can save the day, that can't die, that can do anything. It's kind of like a Mary Sue, but 300 times worse. Oh my gosh. An overpowered character that godlike or world-breaking power is like, let's say, I don't know, let's say your character, the God mod character got hit with a bullet or something, not bullet, let's say they got hit with an energy beam. or something like that. Magic. They got hit with magic, okay? Magic whistle.
Missile.
Magic missile.
Magic whistle.
Magic missile. Sorry. And you know, everyone else in the RP kind of agrees, yeah, your character got hit, and then the god mods also, yeah, they got hit, and then like they're fine.
Pop goes, he's a Terminator.
Yes, Terminator, but they show no like outward signs they got hit with a missile. Magic whistle. I'm sorry.
Whistle again.
I said that I was nervous this time, okay? I know what I'm doing here. I'm not a newbie. Maybe I am.
That's some magic whistling going on right there. Oh,
Yeah. God. I'm gonna keep going on. God modding is also when you take control of or hurt or kill off. Don't do that. Of someone else's character without their permission. Never, ever do this again. That character is someone's baby. You know, you don't want to kill someone's baby. Don't do that. Please don't. You don't want to harm them. So don't take control of someone else's character. You don't want to ever do that unless you're given permission, which I gave permission. When I bowed out, I gave permission for someone else to take control of my character. That's how you do it. And don't make the roleplay all about your character. Unless it was agreed beforehand, don't make it about all your other character. And don't ignore posts that affect your character. You know, sometimes, you know, you don't want your character to get hurt. Talk about that to the mods and stuff, but, you know, just don't overpower. You're not Super Saiyans. Can't do that. You're not over 9,000.
hey, we already had a DBZ fight in the show, so that's only, yeah, right.
That was amazing. Yeah. You also want to make sure you use your words. Be literate. Yeah.
Are we still on the Super Saiyan thing?
Are we still? I thought we were going ahead. Okay. When you use your words, be literate. Now that doesn't mean you have to write a 10-page essay for a bio class or whatever you're doing. But you know, try to make sure people can understand you. You know, don't use chat speak or wolf speak, whatever it's being called nowadays. Yeah. And know your form's minimum or maximum word count. 100 is very different from 1,000, trust me. But like they're like, you have to have at least 100 words per post. Make sure you get those 100 words per post in. Try not to go under it. And if, let's say the maximum is only 1,000, you know, don't write that essay. Don't go over it. But you know, sometimes they let you have leeway. You gotta read the rules. Read the rules.
Spell check everything.
Spell check everything.
Please, listen, I'm a moderator. Spell check everything, please. Just run through it a couple times, more than just once, because I've seen whole sentences turn into something completely different because someone misspelled like 3 words in it. I've seen people where they just call the character by 1 letter. I've seen initials. It's like
AJ is fine, but
AJ is fine, but I've seen like people call Rarity R or RAR, R-A-R.
RAR.
Dinosaur.
Do you mind? Yeah. And do mind your grammar. I mean, we're not all perfect with grammar. I still get my theirs and my wheres and my everything mixed up. My ain'ts. I write ain't a lot. I should write ain't. Ain't's a word? Oh, okay. Ain't's a
word. Give it up for ain't's a word, everybody.
Ain't's a word. But yeah, if it's in character, if you're writing, let's say, dialogue and stuff, ain't work. Ain't, doy, muggle, they all work. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, you can work on that. With characters and stuff, you can work in dialogue. You can kind of go away with the grammar and the spelling almost
When it
sometimes.
comes to dialect, it's fun.
But if you're doing like, just writing the details and stuff, you gotta make sure people kind of understand you. Let's see, here and hair are 2 very different words. And be aware of another person's language barriers. Some people, you know, you might be role-playing with someone who's from Germany or Russia, and you gotta make sure that they might not be able to speak perfect English or your language. And you gotta be aware of that. So they might make spelling mistakes, they might make grammar mistakes. Do not be rude about that. Don't make fun of them for it. Do we have a form, Brony?
No,
Oh.
I just said that also, we're talking about someone who's in negative that is not English, try to make your grammar as good as possible so they can think if they learn English the proper way, they may almost understand proper grammar. Use a lot of slang or dialects that you confuse them.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a very good point. For those who didn't hear me saying, don't use slang when you're talking to someone from with a different language, because they might not understand the slang. Use proper grammar, because that's what they probably learned.
That's kind of why you don't use dude with Rainbow Dash.
Yeah. Dude. Totally rad. Gnarly.
I'm the dude.
Gnarly.
Twilight. Oh no.
What that guy? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't remember the contractions, please. Yes. Oh my god. They can chase us. Never forget I forget the theirs, but do try to fix the theirs. All guilties. Oh. Don't and doesn't yet. Do remember the stuff. Yes. Don't be a blue blood. Now, even for those who are fans of blue bloods, we do know how he acts in canon. So be polite, patient, and kind. Not everyone can. Not everyone can live up to your expectations of what you believe they're going to be. So try to be polite about it. Be patient and be kind. Definitely with newbies or newcomers to roleplay, you want to be patient with them and be kind. Be Fluttershy. Be kind. Come on, we got Fluttershy in here. Be kind.
Like it or not, we all have lives outside of multicolored ponies. Oh no!
What are you saying? What are you saying?
It's 90%. Fine, it's 99% of the time. It's ponies. See, is that better? Okay.
Don't lie to us.
You are the ponies.
Yes. And we're going to be wrapping up here in a second.
Yeah, we'll be wrapping up soon.
And today we learned. Yes, I went with those. Yay. Leave your character room to grow. Yeah, you don't want to back into that corner. Fend off Mary Sue's. Looking at you, Nix. I love you, but girl, you gotta admit, you're Mary Sue. I love you, but and do you tell Penstroke I love him though? He's amazing. It's Penstroke, right?
Penstroke.
Yeah.
We actually met him.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah. Help can be found if people want to help. Be the helpful person. Know the rules of your forms. Let's roleplay. Do know the rules.
Knowing's half the battle.
Woo! The more you know. Knowledge is power. Woo! Be ready to commit. Yeah, if you're not ready to commit to the roleplay, it's like a relationship. Breaking up with me, oh no. Make sure you hit the word count. That's important. If everyone else is writing 3 paragraphs, don't write a sentence. Unless that's allowed. Sometimes it's allowed. Try to say goodbye. Goodbyes are nice. Be kind. I already went over that. You're not God. Don't.
You're not God.
Is that news to some of you? I'm so sorry. Okay.
Well,
he gets away with that. Yes. The Discord, the Celestia, they get away with that.
I insert Morgan Freeman impression for you, but I feel like I can't do it.
Yeah. And Blue Blood is not an appropriate role model for kids. I'm sorry. Please don't model your kids after Blue Blood.
And lastly,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
have fun.
Fun. Keep going. I love that so much.
I'm gonna go off the record for a second. Stuff like this is why I love you guys. I love every one of you guys.
You guys are amazing. Yeah, we're gonna play I Spy for one little second. Who in this picture? Hold on. Who
These things is not like the other.
One of these things is not like the other. Who do? Oh. It's Attack on Pinky. Attack on Pinky. Okay, and let's see. We have a couple minutes left. Do we have time to do questions?
Got 5 minutes.
We got like 5 minutes for the next guy's
We'll take a few.
Okay, the Discord.
So if I'm from the, as I mentioned before, my main experience with role-playing is with tabletop role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons, World of Darkness, that sort of stuff. What's your feel for,
Oh, thank you. This is rather convenient now. So, what's your feel on stat-based RP against freeform RP?
Well, I will admit, I haven't done a lot of tabletop, if almost none, but I like stats. I think stats can be really strong to a character. Again, I'm going to plug full out of question here, but roleplay I was in, we had stats. And stats help the character. And not just that, but they're also part of the personality almost. That's the way I feel. If your character's not strong physically in the stats, they're not going to be strong physically in the roleplay. And it's very important to remember that. Anything?
I've done some tabletop, so I can attest to that, and I'll echo what she said. I think stats work, they work. In that case, exactly what she said.
Yeah. Stats are fun.
Stats are fun.
Okay, we're gonna go over here. The guy in the Luna shirt, black Luna shirt.
Can you suggest some places to play that are maybe even a little newer, possibly a little less clicky? Sometimes I find some places could be clicky.
The site I talked about, Fun Has Been Doubled, it's not a small community, but it's like a very small, it's a core group of people, so it's very easy to just get right into, move right in. There's tons of characters available, and it's a wonderful, really embracing community. So it's a ton of fun, and it's not clicky, it's.
What? The fun has been doubled. That's the name of that forum.
Right there.
Yeah.
The fun has been done.
Yeah, what I've also noticed, if you go to like, let's say you go to like the pet sites like Neopets or something, maybe not that, but others, they'll normally have like a role play section. And if you go into the role play section, you can your own role play. And a lot of those tend to be a lot more free formed and stuff. So they tend to not be as clicky since you're with people who come from a vast majority of different places. But those are the places like I know of. But you can always go to pro boards, create your own little forum, and go with your friends and stuff. It's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go with the guy over there in the, that dude, yes, the guy who's pointing at his badge.
pointing at my shirt, actually.
Okay, sure. Oh, it's Chrysalis!
It
Yay!
is
Chrysalis!
Yeah, I was wondering, what would you recommend doing differently in roleplays where you're actually, in consistent, out-of-character contact with the other person and are, planning things ahead
Oh, you
of that?
out of character?
She knows a lot about that.
Yeah, a lot of times, you mean like being friends or just kind of like chatting with them?
Chatting with them about,
Okay.
what direction to move it in, what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I'm going to go back to the being kind part, but I've done that a lot where we go beforehand, before we go to a role play, sometimes we will get together and we will chat about what's going to go on in that role play. We're going to talk about what characters we're going to use, what characters are appropriate, what we're doing for this and that, and pretty much we go over the point plots that we want to get across. And sometimes that can change, but that's a good way to get characters across and stuff. Now, if you want to go farther than that, you can also become friends with the person. Sometimes they'll give you contact information for Skype and stuff, and you can talk like that. And yeah, how much time do we have?
We're probably going to take one more question.
Okay, we'll take one more question. We're going to go with whoever, guy in the, yes, purple. You've been holding your hand up for a while there.
Go, purple shirt man, go.
One thing I've noticed is when people make OCs, they sometimes write it to be themselves. Not they get offended if something bad happens to their character, but if you use Control F, it becomes a resume.
Yeah, I get what you're talking about there.
Totally.
Yeah, and that can be a tricky situation when you realize that the character they're playing is themselves sometimes. Because, that tends to go into the character is not you, but it is you category, and that can be very tricky to maneuver around. And I don't really think there's a right way to go around it. It's just you gotta feel the situation out for yourself. And is that about it?
That's about it.
That's about it.
I'd like to thank all of you that came today. There's
Yes,
more than
thank
5
you so
people
much.
that watched them.
We were very kind of Jake.
We were competing with a VA panel and an animator panel, and you guys made a great turnout. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was so amazing. Thank you for being here. We got to clear up for the next panel that's coming in.
Yeah, me too.
Whee!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm clapping for you guys. Woo! Oh, look, there's Celestia. No, I don't want housekeeping. Woo!